The alarm screamed through the Zenthari command center, and Ambassador Telvin felt his heart sink. The peaceful blue sky above their capital city was about to turn into a battlefield, and his people had no way to stop it. Telvin stood at the window of the diplomatic tower, watching as hundreds of Zenthari families hurried through the streets below. They were heading to the underground shelters carrying whatever they could hold. Children clung to their parents. The elderly moved slowly, helped by younger neighbors. Everyone was afraid. The Krell Empire had finally come. Their massive warships hung in orbit like dark clouds, blocking out the stars. 20 vessels surrounded the planet, each one bristling with weapons that could turn cities into ash. The Krell had sent their demands 3 days ago. Surrender all mining rights to the Zenthari system, or face destruction. Telvin had refused. His people would not become slaves. But now, as he watched those ships grow closer, Telvin wondered if he had made the right choice. "Ambassador, we must send the distress call now," said Mira, his assistant. Her voice shook with fear. "The Krell will begin their bombardment in less than 72 hours. Telvin nodded slowly. He walked to the communications console, his hands trembling as he activated the emergency beacon. This signal would reach across known space, calling out to their allies in the Galactic Council. The Council had protected the Zenthari for generations through diplomacy and political pressure. Surely they would come now when it mattered most. He began recording the message. "This is Ambassador Telvin of the Zenthari people. We are under attack by the Krell Empire. Our world is surrounded. We have no military forces capable of defense. We are calling on our allies in the Galactic Council. Please, we need help. We have civilians, families, children who cannot protect themselves. Please come quickly." Mira sent the signal through the relay network using every frequency and channel they knew. The message shot out into space, carried by quantum transmitters that could cross vast distances in minutes. But something went wrong. The signal hit an old relay station at the edge of Zenthari space, one that had been damaged by a solar storm months earlier. The damaged station rerouted the message through an uncharted pathway, sending it spinning off into a sector of space the Zenthari had never explored. The message traveled for hours through the darkness, between stars until it reached a small outpost on the frontier of explored space. The outpost was called Sentinel, and it belonged to a species the Zenthari had never heard of. It belonged to humans. Commander Jake Morrison was drinking his third cup of coffee when the alert came through. He set down the cup and walked to the communications station, where Lieutenant Kyle Harris was staring at his screen with wide eyes. "Sir, we're receiving a distress signal," Kyle said. "It's not in any language our computers recognize, but the translation matrix is working on it." Jake leaned over Kyle's shoulder, watching as lines of alien text slowly transformed into English. His jaw tightened as he read the message. "They're under attack," Jake said quietly. "How far away?" Kyle checked the coordinates. "About 18 hours at maximum jump speed, sir. The signal is coming from outside our normal patrol zone." "Do we know who they are?" "No, sir. First contact situation, but the message is clear. They're calling for help." Jake stood up straight and looked around the small command center. Outpost Sentinel was a forward operating base designed to watch for threats at the edge of human territory. They had 3 ships docked here. 3 ships and a crew of about 200 people. It wasn't much, but it was all they had. "Get me Captain Lisa Grant on the Valkyrie," Jake ordered, "and wake up the crews of the Tempest and Warhawk. Tell them we're moving out in 2 hours. Kyle hesitated. "Sir, shouldn't we report this to command first?" "Get authorization?" Jake shook his head. "That would take days. These people said they have 72 hours. We don't have time for bureaucracy." He pulled up the star map, plotting the fastest course to the Zenthari system. "Someone called for help, Lieutenant. That's all I need to know." Within 2 hours, the human fleet was ready. The 3 ships were nothing like the massive vessels fielded by the major galactic powers. The Valkyrie, Tempest, and Warhawk were smaller, designed for speed and maneuverability. They were covered in armor plating that looked rough and practical rather than elegant. Weapons batteries lined their hulls. These were warships built by a species that understood conflict. Captain Lisa Grant sat in the command chair of the Valkyrie, watching her crew run through the pre-jump checklist. She was a veteran of a dozen campaigns, and she knew what it meant to jump into an unknown situation. But the distress call had been clear. Civilians were in danger. All systems green. reported her tactical officer, Alex Turner. Weapons charged, shields ready. Tempest and Warhawk report ready status. Lisa nodded. Take us out. The three ships lifted away from Outpost Sentinel, their engines flaring bright blue against the darkness of space. They accelerated toward the jump point, building up the massive amounts of energy needed to tear a hole through normal space. Jump coordinates locked, Alex said. 18 hours to destination. Execute jump, Lisa ordered. Space twisted around the three ships. Reality bent and folded, and then they were gone, racing through the impossible dimensions between stars toward a people they had never met. Back on the Zenthari homeworld, Ambassador Telvin waited anxiously. 3 days. That's all they had. He stared at the communications console, hoping to see a response from the council. Any response. The hours crawled by. The Krell ships moved closer, taking up attack positions. Telvin could see them now with his own eyes, dark shapes silhouetted against the stars. Anything? He asked Mira for the 100th time. Nothing yet, Ambassador. The council should have received our message by now. They must be preparing their response. Telvin wanted to believe that. He had to believe that. The alternative was too terrible to consider. High above the planet, the Krell commander smiled as he watched the frightened aliens scramble below. 3 days. Then he would take what he wanted. These weak creatures couldn't stop him. No one could. But the Krell commander didn't know that help was already coming. He didn't know that a message meant for peaceful diplomats had instead reached warriors. He didn't know that 3 ships were racing through the void, carrying a species that had earned their strength through suffering. The Deathworlders were coming, and everything was about to change. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Zenthari system, and immediately every alarm in the ship started screaming. Captain Lisa Grant gripped the arms of her command chair as the Valkyrie shook from the sudden deceleration. Around her, the bridge crew worked frantically at their stations, bringing up tactical displays and sensor readings. Report, Lisa ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos. Alex Turner hunched over his tactical console, his fingers flying across the controls. I'm reading 20 hostile contacts in orbit around the 4th planet. They're in attack formation surrounding the planet completely. Energy signatures match a military blockade. Any sign they've detected us? Not yet. We came in behind the system's asteroid belt. We have maybe 10 minutes before they spot us. Lisa pulled up the tactical display on her main screen. The enemy ships were huge, each one at least twice the size of the Valkyrie. They were shaped like crescents with weapon ports running along their hulls. She had seen ships like this before in the intelligence reports. These were Krell vessels, belonging to an empire known for conquest and brutality. Get me a clear channel to the planet, Lisa said. Let's find out who we're protecting. Lieutenant Kyle Harris worked at the communications console, cycling through frequencies until he found an active channel. I've got something, Captain. Translating now. The translation matrix struggled with the alien language. It was designed for human dialects and the few alien languages humanity had encountered in their limited exploration. This was something completely new. Kyle watched as the computer tried pattern after pattern, slowly building a bridge between 2 species that had never spoken before. Finally, a voice came through, crackling with static. This is Zenthari, Diplomatic Center. Who? You? Kyle adjusted the transmission. This is the Earthship Valkyrie. We received your distress signal. We're here to help. There was a long pause. Then the voice came back, clearer now as the translation improved. Earth, we do not know this name. We called for the Galactic Council. Lisa leaned forward. I'm Captain Lisa Grant of the Human Fleet. I don't know about any Galactic Council, but we got your message. You said you were under attack and needed help. We're here. Another pause. Lisa could almost feel the confusion on the other end of the line. Please establish visual contact, the alien voice said hesitantly. Kyle set up the video link, and Lisa's face appeared on screens both on the Valkyrie and down on the planet's surface. Ambassador Telvin stared at the screen in his command center, and his blood went cold. The creature looking back at him was a nightmare. It had forward-facing eyes, the unmistakable mark of a predator species. Its face was lean and angular, with a strong jaw that suggested powerful bite force. When it spoke, Telvin could see teeth that were designed for tearing meat. The creature wore a dark uniform covered in insignia he didn't recognize, and behind it he could see other similar creatures working at strange consoles. "No," Telvin whispered. "This cannot be." Mira stood beside him, trembling. "Ambassador, those are predators. Look at their eyes. Look at their build. They're hunters." Lisa saw the fear in the alien's face and tried to keep her expression friendly. The alien on the screen was nothing like any creature she had ever seen. It stood on 4 legs with a long, graceful neck and a face that reminded her of a deer back on Earth. Its eyes were large and positioned on the sides of its head, giving it a wide field of vision. Prey animal, Lisa thought automatically. Herbivore. Peaceful. "We're not here to hurt you," Lisa said slowly. "You called for help." "We came to give it." Telvin forced himself to speak. "There has been a mistake. A terrible mistake. We called for our allies, peaceful species who would negotiate with the Krell. We did not call for warriors," Lisa finished. She understood now. This species had probably never seen a predator species before, certainly not one that traveled in warships. "I know we look frightening to you. I understand. But the fact remains that you're under attack and we're here. Will you let us help?" Before Telvin could answer, alarms started screaming in his command center. One of the Krell ships had detected the human vessels. The blockade was moving, repositioning to face this new threat. On the Valkyrie's bridge, Alex called out, "Captain, they've spotted us. Multiple ships breaking formation and moving to intercept. We're being hailed by the lead vessel." "Put it through," Lisa said. A new face appeared on the screen, pushing the Zenthari ambassador to a smaller window. The Krell commander was massive, easily twice the size of a human. His skin was covered in thick scales and his eyes burned with aggression. When he spoke, his voice was deep and threatening. "Unknown vessels. You have entered a restricted zone. The Zenthari system belongs to the Krell Empire by right of conquest. Leave immediately or be destroyed." Lisa met the Krell commander's gaze without flinching. "This system doesn't belong to you. These people called for help and we're here to provide it. You're the ones who need to leave." The Krell commander laughed, a harsh sound that made even Lisa's crew uncomfortable. "You dare challenge the Krell with 3 tiny ships?" "We have 20 warships. We have crushed dozens of species. You will be nothing but debris." "Maybe," Lisa said. "But we're not leaving." The Krell commander's expression changed from amusement to rage. "Then you will die. All ships open fire on the human vessels. Destroy them." The transmission cut off. On the tactical display, all 20 Krell ships began moving toward the human fleet, their weapons charging. Alex looked at Lisa with concern. "Captain, we're outnumbered nearly 7-1. Lisa smiled, and there was something fierce in that expression. "Then it's a fair fight." She activated the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Grant. We've got 20 hostiles inbound. Remember your training. Stay fast, stay unpredictable, and make every shot count. Commander Morrison, take the Warhawk and Tempest around the left flank. We'll hit them from multiple angles." Jake Morrison's voice came back steady and confident. "Copy that, Captain. Warhawk and Tempest moving to flank position." Down on the planet, Ambassador Telvin watched in horror as the 3 small human ships accelerated toward the Krell blockade. "They're insane," he whispered. 3 ships against 20. They're going to their deaths. But as he watched, something strange happened. The human ships didn't fly in formation the way civilized species did. They didn't follow any predictable pattern. Instead, they spread out wildly, each ship moving independently. They twisted and rolled through space in ways that looked random, chaotic. The Krell opened fire first, launching missiles and energy beams at the human vessels. But the humans were already moving, already somewhere else. The shots passed through empty space where the human ships had been moments before, and then the humans fired back. The Valkyrie's weapons lit up the darkness, sending streams of projectiles and energy toward the nearest Krell ship. The shots hit hard, punching through shields and armor. The Krell ship shuddered from the impact. "What kind of weapons are those?" Mira asked, staring at the display in shock. Telvin didn't know. He had never seen anything like this. The humans fought with a ferocity that terrified him. They flew like they were insane, taking risks that no sane pilot would attempt. They used the planet's gravity to slingshot themselves around, building up speed before unleashing devastating attacks. The space battle had begun, and the Zenthari could only watch in amazement and fear as the Deathworlders showed the galaxy what humans could do when someone they had sworn to protect was in danger. The Krell were about to learn a hard lesson. They had fought dozens of species and won, but they had never fought anyone from Earth. The first Krell ship exploded in a ball of fire and debris, and the Krell commander realized he had made a terrible mistake. These humans were not like any species he had ever fought. They moved wrong. They fought wrong. They broke every rule of civilized warfare, and it was working. Commander Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the Tempest as the Warhawk spun completely around while still moving forward, firing its rear weapons at a Krell ship that thought it was safely behind the human vessel. The Krell ship's shields collapsed under the unexpected assault, and secondary explosions rippled across its hull. "That's 6 down," reported Sergeant Nina Cross from the pilot seat. She was grinning, her hands dancing across the controls as she threw the Tempest into another impossible maneuver. "How many more want to play?" Jake allowed himself a tight smile. 14 still active. "Keep moving. Don't give them a clear shot." The battle had been going for 3 hours, and the Krell were discovering that numbers meant nothing if you couldn't hit your target. The human ships were smaller and faster than the Krell vessels. More importantly, they were piloted by people who had learned to fly in Earth's chaotic atmosphere, dodging storms and fighting gravity every second. Space combat was almost easy by comparison. Nina threw the Tempest into a dive using the planet's gravity well to increase their speed. She aimed straight for the gap between 2 Krell ships, a space so narrow that any sane pilot would avoid it. The Krell ships opened fire, trying to catch the Tempest in a crossfire, but Nina was already adjusting, rolling the ship sideways and sliding through the gap with meters to spare. As she passed between them, the Tempest fired both side batteries, hitting both Krell ships at point-blank range. Behind them, one of the Krell ships lost power and began drifting. The other tried to turn, but its maneuvering thrusters had been destroyed. It spun helplessly in space. Down on the planet, Ambassador Telvin watched the battle with his mouth open. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The humans fought like madmen, taking risks that should have killed them a dozen times over, but somehow, impossibly, they were winning. "How are they doing this?" Mira asked, her voice filled with awe. "They're outnumbered. They should be losing." Telvin shook his head slowly. "They're not fighting the way we understand fighting. They're not trying to be safe or minimize damage. They're trying to win, no matter the cost." On the Valkyrie, Captain Lisa Grant studied the tactical display with cold precision. 8 Krell ships destroyed or disabled, 14 still fighting. Her own ship had taken damage, but nothing critical. The Tempest was reporting minor hull breaches already sealed. The Warhawk had lost one of its shield generators, but was still combat effective. "Alex, status on that cluster of 4 ships near the northern pole?" she asked. Alex zoomed in on the tactical map. "They're trying to form a defensive formation. Looks like they're finally figuring out that spreading out makes them easier targets." Lisa nodded. "They learn fast. Time to teach them another lesson." She opened the fleet channel. "Jake, I need you to draw their attention. Show them your damaged side, make them think you're vulnerable." Jake's laugh came back over the channel. "You want me to play bait, Captain? Can you handle it, please? We've been doing this since Mars. Give us 2 minutes." The Tempest and Warhawk moved toward the cluster of 4 Krell ships, flying in a way that looked uncoordinated, even damaged. The Warhawk's shield generator flickered, and the ship wobbled slightly. To the Krell, it looked like an easy kill. The 4 Krell ships broke formation and accelerated toward the 2 human vessels, their weapons charging. They wanted to destroy these impudent creatures who had dared challenge the Krell Empire. They never saw the Valkyrie coming. Lisa had taken her ship around the far side of the planet, using the planet itself to hide her approach. Now she came up behind the 4 Krell ships at full speed, all weapons armed and ready. "Fire everything," Lisa ordered. The Valkyrie unleashed a devastating barrage. Missiles streaked from the launch tubes. Energy weapons carved through space. The Krell ship's rear shields collapsed immediately under the assault. Explosions tore through their engine sections. 2 of the Krell ships exploded outright. A third lost all power and began tumbling. The 4th managed to turn and fire back, but it was too late. The Tempest and Warhawk had reversed course and were hitting it from the front. Caught between 3 human ships, the 4th Krell vessel lasted less than a minute. The Krell commander watched in rage as his fleet fell apart. 12 ships destroyed or disabled now. Only 8 still fighting, and his crews were terrified. He had never seen fear in Krell warriors before. The Krell were supposed to be the strongest, the most brutal, the unconquerable. But these humans were something else entirely. They fought with a creativity and ferocity that went beyond anything in the Krell battle doctrine. They used the environment. They used psychology. They turned their own weaknesses into traps. The commander made a decision. All ships, concentrate fire on the largest human vessel. Overwhelm its shields with everything we have. The 8 remaining Krell ships all targeted the Valkyrie, pouring every weapon they had into a focused assault. The Valkyrie's shields flared bright blue, struggling to absorb the massive energy. Shields at 40% and falling, Alex reported, his voice tight. We can't take much more of this. Lisa's mind raced. They were trapped, unable to move without exposing their damaged side to even more fire. She needed a solution, and she needed it fast. Then Major Danny Roberts spoke up from the tactical station. Captain, request permission to take a boarding team to the Krell command ship. Lisa turned to look at him. You want to board them? During a space battle? Danny nodded, his face serious. They're concentrating on us. They're not watching their flanks. I can take a team on the dropship, hit them fast before they know what's happening. Take out their command ship and the rest might lose coordination. It was insane. It was dangerous. It was exactly the kind of move that might work. Do it, Lisa said. You have 5 minutes before our shields collapse. Danny grabbed his helmet and ran for the hangar bay, calling out names as he went. Nina, Kyle, Helen, you're with me? Combat gear, live weapons, we're boarding hostile. The team suited up in record time, squeezing into the small dropship. Nina took the pilot seat while Danny checked everyone's weapons and armor. The hangar door opened and Nina launched the dropship into the chaos of the battle. She flew like a demon, weaving between energy beams and explosions. The dropship was tiny compared to the warships, almost invisible in all the chaos. She brought it alongside the Krell command ship, matching speed and rotation perfectly. 30 seconds until contact, Nina announced. Danny and the others positioned themselves at the door. They could hear the magnetic clamps engaging, pulling the dropship tight against the Krell hull. Kyle activated the cutting torch, burning through the outer armor. Atmosphere rushed out with a scream. But the breach sealed quickly as the dropship formed an airlock. Go, 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 Danny shouted, and the team poured into the Krell ship. The interior was dark and filled with smoke from the battle damage. Emergency lights flickered. Danny led the way, his rifle up and ready. They moved fast, heading for the bridge. They passed Krell crew members who stared in shock at the humans invading their ship. The fighting was brutal and close. The Krell were bigger and stronger, but humans were faster and more adaptable. Danny used a plasma cutter as a weapon when his rifle jammed. Kyle threw a fire extinguisher at a Krell warrior's head, then tackled him while he was stunned. They fought their way to the bridge in 3 minutes. Danny blasted open the door and stormed in. The Krell commander turned, reaching for his weapon, but Danny was already there. It's over, Danny said. Order your ships to stand down. The Krell commander looked at the human, this small creature that had fought through his entire ship, and he felt something he had never felt before. Fear. He reached for the communication console and gave the order. All Krell ships cease fire. Retreat to jump coordinates. Throughout the battle zone, the remaining Krell ships stopped firing and began moving away. 3 of them jumped immediately. 5 more followed within minutes, leaving only the disabled ships drifting in orbit. The battle was over. The humans had won. The silence after the battle was almost as shocking as the battle itself. Ambassador Telvin stood in his command center, staring at the displays that showed the human ships taking up defensive positions around his world. The Krell were gone. His people were safe, and all he felt was fear. Mira touched his shoulder gently. Ambassador, the humans are requesting permission to land. They want to meet with us. Telvin's hands trembled. The last thing he wanted was to meet these creatures face to face. On screen, they had looked terrifying. The thought of being in the same room with them made his heart race. But his people owed these warriors their lives. He could not refuse them now. Tell them they may land at the Central Plaza, Telvin said quietly. We will meet them properly. The news spread quickly through the capital city. The humans were coming down to the surface. Centauri citizens lined the streets, watching the sky with a mixture of gratitude and terror. They had seen what these creatures could do in battle. Now they would see them face to face. Captain Lisa Grant stood in the transport shuttle as it descended through the atmosphere. Beside her stood Commander Jake Morrison and Dr. Helen Price, the Valkyrie's chief medical officer. Lisa had chosen her landing party carefully. Jake because he was good with first contact situations, Calm and steady, Helen because she was a scientist who understood how to communicate across species barriers. Remember, Lisa said to them, these people are scared of us. We look like predators to them. Move slowly, speak softly, and smile as little as possible. Smiles show teeth, and teeth frighten prey species. Jake nodded. He had done this before on other worlds, meeting species that feared humans. We show them respect, show them we're not a threat. Actions speak louder than words. The shuttle landed in the central plaza and the door opened. Lisa stepped out first, moving slowly and deliberately. She kept her hands visible and away from her weapons. Behind her, Jake and Helen followed her lead. Ambassador Telvin waited at the bottom of the shuttle ramp, flanked by his advisors. When he saw the humans up close, he had to force himself not to run. They were even more intimidating in person. Their muscular build spoke of strength far beyond any Xanthari. Their eyes tracked movement with predatory precision. Even their stance suggested readiness for violence. But Lisa saw the fear in the ambassador's eyes and understood. She stopped several meters away, giving the Xanthari space. Then she did something that surprised everyone. She knelt down, making herself smaller, less threatening. Ambassador Telvin, she said softly. Thank you for allowing us to land. We know we frightened you. We know we're not what you expected, but we came because you needed help, and we're honored that we could protect your people. Telvin stared at the kneeling human. No warrior had ever shown him such respect. Slowly, carefully, he approached. You saved us. We owe you our lives, but I must ask, what are you? Where do you come from? Helen stepped forward, and her voice was gentle and warm. We come from a planet called Earth. It's very different from your world. May I show you? Telvin nodded, and Helen activated a holographic display. Images of Earth appeared in the air between them. The Xanthari gasped at what they saw. Earth was beautiful but brutal. Helen showed them oceans with massive storms that could swallow cities. Mountains tall enough to pierce the clouds. Deserts where nothing lived. Volcanoes that spewed fire. Ice caps that could freeze flesh in seconds. Your world is a nightmare, Mira whispered. Helen smiled sadly. To us, it's home. But you're right, Earth is harsh. We call it a death world. The weather can kill you. The animals can kill you. The plants can kill you. Even the microscopic life can kill you. Survival on Earth means constant adaptation. She showed them images of Earth's history, mass extinctions that wiped out most life, ice ages, asteroid impacts, competition for limited resources, war between human tribes fighting for survival. We evolved in a crucible, Helen explained. Every challenge made us stronger, faster, smarter. We learned to work together because alone we died. We learned to plan ahead because those who didn't starved. We learned to fight because everything on Earth fights. Telvin listened, beginning to understand. So you are violent because your world made you violent. Not just violent, Jake said, speaking for the first time. Protective. Yes, we know how to fight, but we also know why we fight. We fight to protect those who can't protect themselves. We fight because we've learned that strength without purpose is just destruction. A small Xanthari child pushed through the crowd of adults. She was too young to understand fear properly. She looked at Jake with wide, curious eyes and walked right up to him. You're very tall, the child said. Are you a warrior? Jake knelt down to her level, just as Lisa had done. Yes, I am. The child noticed a scar on Jake's jaw, a fresh one from the recent battle. She reached out and touched it gently. Does it hurt? A little, Jake admitted. I got it protecting my friends during the battle. The child's eyes went wide. You got hurt saving people? That's what warriors do, Jake said simply. We put ourselves between danger and the people who need protection. Sometimes we get hurt, but that's okay because keeping others safe is worth it. The child smiled and suddenly hugged Jake. The big human warrior froze for a moment, surprised, then carefully hugged her back. His hands were so large they could have crushed her, but he held her with incredible gentleness. Telvin watched this interaction, and something shifted in his understanding. These humans were predators, yes. They were dangerous, certainly. But that danger was directed outward, at threats, not at the innocent. They had the capacity for violence, but they chose to use it for protection. You could have ignored our call, Telvin said. You owe us nothing. Why did you come? Lisa stood up from her kneeling position. Because someone needed help. Because we have the strength to make a difference. Because we've learned the hard way that the strong have a responsibility to protect the weak, not because of what we gain from it, but because of what we lose if we don't. We spent thousands of years fighting each other on Earth, Helen added. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times. We learned that strength without compassion is just cruelty. We learned that being able to hurt someone doesn't mean you should. Jake released the child, who ran back to her mother. We're not perfect, he said to Telvin. We're still learning. We still make mistakes. But we're trying to be better than our instincts. We're trying to be the people we want to be, not just the people our harsh world made us. Telvin looked at the three humans standing before him. He thought about how they had risked their lives for strangers, how they had fought against impossible odds, how they showed respect to a species that feared them, how they held a child with gentle hands. We were wrong to fear you, Telvin said. We saw only your weapons and your scars. We didn't see your hearts, Lisa smiled, but kept her teeth covered. Fear is natural. We understand. We're asking you to look past that fear and see us for what we're trying to be. Not perfect, not peaceful, but protectors. Over the next few hours, more humans came down from the ships. They helped repair damage from the battle. They shared food with the Zenthari, though their diets were very different. They told stories and answered questions. Slowly, the Zenthari began to relax around them. Dr. Helen spent time with Zenthari scientists, explaining human biology and Earth's ecosystem. The Zenthari were horrified and fascinated in equal measure. A world where everything competed for survival. Where predator and prey existed in constant balance. Where extinction was always one disaster away. How do you live with such fear? One scientist asked. We don't think of it as fear, Helen replied. We think of it as being alive. Yes, Earth is dangerous, but that danger taught us to appreciate every day. It taught us to protect each other. It taught us that life is precious because it's so easily lost. As the sun set on the Zenthari capital, humans and Zenthari sat together in the plaza. The Zenthari children were climbing on Jake, treating him like a jungle gym. He laughed and helped them up, making sure none of them fell. The sound of his laughter was warm and genuine. Telvin watched this scene and felt something he hadn't expected. Hope. These Deathworlders were fierce warriors, yes. But they were also capable of gentleness, of sacrifice, of choosing to be more than just survivors. The galaxy had just discovered that humanity existed. And perhaps, Telvin thought, that discovery would change everything. The news of the battle at Zenthari space spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Within days, every member of the Galactic Council knew that a new species had entered the political stage. A predator species. A warrior species. A species from a death world. The reactions varied wildly. Some species were grateful that the Zenthari had been saved. Others were terrified that these violent newcomers might turn their weapons on peaceful civilizations. Many were simply confused. Why would these humans risk their lives for strangers? What did they want in return? Ambassador Telvin found himself at the center of this storm. He received messages from dozens of worlds, all asking the same questions. What are the humans like? Are they dangerous? Can they be trusted? 1 week after the battle, the Galactic Council called for an emergency session. They invited Ambassador Telvin to speak, and they invited the humans as well. Captain Lisa Grant and Commander Jake Morrison accepted the invitation, knowing this would shape humanity's place in the galaxy. The council chamber was enormous, a circular room with seats for representatives from 50 different species. Lisa and Jake walked to the center, feeling hundreds of eyes on them. Most of those eyes held fear. Some held curiosity. A few held hope. The council speaker was a Valorian, a floating species that communicated through color changes in their semi-transparent bodies. The speaker's colors shifted to a formal pattern as they addressed the chamber. We are here to discuss the human question, the speaker announced. A new species has entered our galaxy, and they have already participated in military action. We must determine what this means for galactic peace. An Archon representative stood up, their crystalline body reflecting the chamber's lights. These humans destroyed 12 Krell warships and drove away the rest. They demonstrated military capability beyond anything we've seen in centuries. We must know their intentions. Another representative, a Quillan covered in soft fur, spoke with a trembling voice. They are predators. Look at them. Forward-facing eyes, muscular builds, they even have teeth designed for eating meat. How can we trust such creatures? Lisa listened to the concerns without anger. She understood their fear. Finally, the speaker's colors shifted to indicate it was time for the humans to speak. Lisa stepped forward. Members of the Galactic Council, I understand your concern. You look at us and see danger. You're not wrong. Humans are capable of violence. We evolved on a world that demanded we learn to fight or die. But there's something you're missing in that assessment. She paused, looking around the chamber. Yes, we're predators. Yes, we know how to fight. But we're also the species that domesticated wolves into dogs. We're the species that saves endangered animals that serve us no purpose. We're the species that will risk our lives to save a stranger. We have the capacity for violence, but we also have the capacity for compassion. And we get to choose which one defines us. Jake stepped forward to join her. Let me tell you about Earth. For thousands of years, we fought each other. Tribe against tribe, nation against nation. We nearly destroyed ourselves more times than I can count. But we learned. We learned that strength without purpose is just destruction. We learned that the powerful have a responsibility to protect the weak. He pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's history, images of ancient wars, then images of humans helping each other after natural disasters, rescue workers pulling people from rubble, doctors treating diseases, teachers educating children, firefighters running into burning buildings. This is who we are, Jake said. Yes, we're warriors, but we choose to be protectors. We didn't save the Zenthari because we wanted something from them. We saved them because they needed help and we could provide it. That's enough. The Archon representative spoke again. But what do you want? Every species wants something. Territory, resources, political power. What is humanity's price? Lisa smiled. We want friends. We want to learn from you. We want to share what we know. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. That's all? The Quillen representative asked suspiciously. You expect us to believe you came all this way? Fought a battle, risked your lives for friendship? Is that so hard to believe? Jake asked. You've built a galactic council based on peaceful cooperation. You've created a society where different species work together. That's what we want to be part of. But we bring something you don't have. We bring the ability to protect that peace when diplomacy fails. Ambassador Telvin stood up from the Zenthari section. May I speak? The council speaker's colors shifted in approval. Telvin walked to the center, standing beside the humans. I was terrified when I first saw the humans, Telvin admitted. I thought they were monsters. But I was wrong. Yes, they're fierce. Yes, they're dangerous. But that fierceness is directed at threats, not at the innocent. They protected my world when they had no reason to. They showed gentleness to our children. They treated us with respect even though we feared them. He turned to face the council directly. The humans are warriors, but they are not conquerors. They are protectors, and I believe the galaxy needs them. Silence filled the chamber as the representatives considered this. Finally, the Valorian speaker's colors shifted to a questioning pattern. What are you proposing, Captain Grant? Lisa took a deep breath. We propose a partnership. Humanity will serve as a defensive force for the Galactic Council. When peaceful species are threatened by aggression, we'll respond. We won't conquer. We won't demand territory. We'll simply protect those who can't protect themselves. And in exchange, the Archon asked. Friendship, Lisa repeated. Cultural exchange. Access to your knowledge and science. Help learning to be better than we are. You've built a peaceful civilization across hundreds of worlds. We want to learn from that. We want to grow beyond just being survivors. Jake added, We're not asking you to trust us completely. We know trust is earned. Give us a trial period. Let us prove that we mean what we say. If we abuse that trust, cut ties with us, but give us a chance to show you who we're trying to be. The council debated for hours. Some representatives were strongly opposed, fearing that letting warriors into their peaceful society would corrupt it. Others saw the practical value of having defenders. Still others recognized something in the humans that resonated with them, a desire to be more than their nature dictated. Finally, the vote was called. The motion passed by a narrow margin. Humanity would be accepted as a provisional member of the Galactic Council, with a trial period of 5 years. During that time, they would serve as defenders, and the Council would observe whether they could be trusted. After the vote, as Lisa and Jake were leaving the chamber, the Quillen representative approached them. She was still nervous, but she met their eyes bravely. I voted against you, she admitted. I'm still frightened of what you represent. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope you truly are the protectors you claim to be. Lisa nodded respectfully. We'll do everything we can to prove it. And it's okay to be scared. Fear is a natural response. We're just asking for the chance to show you there's more to us than fear. 3 months later, another distress call came through. A peaceful mining colony was under attack by pirates. The human fleet responded immediately, arriving within hours. They drove off the pirates without firing a single shot, their mere presence enough to send the criminals fleeing. 6 months after that, a medical emergency on a remote station threatened hundreds of lives. Human doctors and engineers worked around the clock to help, sharing technology and expertise. They asked for nothing in return. Each time humans answered a call for help, more species began to relax around them. They saw that the fierce warriors kept their promises. They saw that strength could be used for protection rather than conquest. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of the Tempest, looking out at the stars. Beside him, the young Xanthari child from the plaza, whose name was Kiri, pressed her face against the window. Her parents had allowed her to visit the human ships, and she had become something of a mascot for the crew. Are there more humans coming? Kiri asked. Eventually, Jake said. Earth is sending more ships, more people. We're going to be part of the galaxy now. Good, Kiri said simply. The galaxy needs more protectors. Jake smiled. I hope we can be worthy of that trust. Captain Lisa Grant sat in her ready room reviewing reports. The trial period was going well. Humanity had responded to 14 separate emergencies, always as protectors, never as conquerors. The Council was starting to see them not as threats, but as guardians. She thought about the long journey from Earth to here, about the thousands of years of human history that had led to this moment. All the wars, all the struggles, all the times they had nearly destroyed themselves. It had all been leading to this. To the moment when humanity could choose to be something more than just survivors. They had been given a gift. The chance to use their strength for something greater than themselves. The chance to prove that even a species born in violence could choose peace. The chance to show the galaxy that monsters could become heroes if they chose to be. Ambassador Telvin received a message from Earth, delivered through the new diplomatic channels. It was from the human government, formally thanking the Xanthari for giving humanity a chance, for not judging them solely by their appearance or their capacity,